Hello, my name is Terri Manthey, and I'm an assistant professor in the Quantitative Studies Department, teaching Tier 1 and Tier 2 mathematics and statistics. I would like to talk to you today about how I support diversity and equity and inclusion at UAA through my teaching and my service. I've had the pleasure recently of being a textbook transformation fellow this year. What this does is allows us to create affordable, low or no cost materials for students. With many students being unable to afford expensive course materials, some end up even going without. This could be absolutely detrimental in a math or statistics course. And even especially now with COVID and so many people losing their jobs and the economy doing what it is, it's even more important now than it has been in the past. And even before the pivot to online learning, myself, many of my fellow math and statistics instructors, a lot of us have began using more and more online homework platforms. These are nice because they grade the students automatically and give them instant feedback, whether they have something right or wrong. That's very helpful for them as they're trying to practice and learn math and statistics. However, so many of these online programs are prohibitively expensive. Many are $100, $120, um, and bundles with physical books and online platforms together can often cost more than $200 for a class. So it's very difficult for some of our students. So what I've done is for my Math 121 course, I've actually created my own open educational resource for them. And I've created, and you can see, College Algebra for the Managerial Sciences. And what I've also created is that there's also the homework is in a course shell on a free platform called My Open Math, which can be completely integrated into Blackboard. So having this math book directly for UAA students, made for UAA students, not only saves them money, and it removes that socioeconomic barrier between the haves and have-nots, it also allows for these math applications to be tailored to our students. My colleagues and I can regularly edit these examples, these exercises, as we learn more about the diverse cultures of our students. One of the first projects that I tackled with this book is names in the examples and the problems. So many times when we look at a math or statistics book, the names in application problems are often fairly Western centric. And I've changed that. I took the time to look up common names in other cultures and make sure that those were represented in this book. That is one of the first projects I tackled. This is one small fix, but it helps students see themselves in these stories in their math books. And the future is even brighter because we can continue editing this text and we can continue to try to meet the needs of our students as good as we possibly can. So in addition to this course, I also use open educational resources for every course that I teach. And this helps us level those playing field for those students at a financial disadvantage. So I have adapted, there's another book, and this is one that I actually use. I did not create this one, but the Introductory Statistics book. It is a great example of a free book, and it has a readability. You can actually change the size of the font. You can actually download the entire book as a PDF, and it can be used on a screen reader. So excellent way to have a low cost way to meet the needs of all of our students. Also, when I'm doing some of these examples in class, I've adapted in Stat 200, I've adapted some of our examples to meet the needs of an Alaskan audience. For example, when I'm talking about confidence intervals, one of my favorite examples when I'm talking about confidence intervals is I compare them to fishing nets. And we're trying to catch the mewfish. And that's very interesting and exciting to them because they can visualize this, they can think about this. Most Alaskans have fished when we have such a high native population at our school. Fishing is something that we all understand, that most Alaskans understand. So we think about, we're putting that net in the water. You imagine yourself out on the river. You kind of know where the fish is. So you center your net there. If your net's big enough, you'll catch the fish. If you want to be more sure that you catch the fish, you need a bigger net. Okay, so you need a bigger confidence interval to be more sure. Really helps the students understand those concepts because I bring it back to what they know. And we also, in my stat class, we look directly at the issues of diversity. I do one example. I take a poll at the beginning of the class of all my students. We do one example on studying the proportion of UAA students who speak a language other than English at home. And we compare this to the state proportion, which is still, of course, I have had classes where 50% of my students spoke a language other than English in the home. 50%. And yes, that was statistically significantly different than the state population. So we've really seen these wonderful, wonderful things. And it really brings up a dialogue with the students when we study these things in statistics. We do another problem where we check the proportion of representation on various races on ads that run during children's television programs compared with diversity in a geographical area. We do that example too. Again, creating a dialogue to talk about these things. And my next commitment right now is helping other faculty adapt their courses to no cost or low cost materials. And hopefully we can reach more students this way. Finally, another thing that I kind of have done on my own is realized a few semesters ago that I had quite a few Spanish speaking students. And it was then I decided that if something I've kind of always wanted to do, but I decided that to be better able to help those students, I was going to spend some of my own time, and I did, learning the Spanish language. Began with a phone application, Duolingo. I still use that. But I'm proud to say I'm currently able to read novels in Spanish. So I'm practicing the best I can. With my final goal is I want to make my syllabus available in Spanish. And I want to be able to help my students during office hours or via messages in Spanish for those who would feel comfortable using their native language. It's but one of the many languages our students speak, but I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it's a step to be more inclusive and to show my commitment to the diversity of my students when I'm doing this. So this is what I do, and I thank you guys for listening.